Hello and welcome to Odds on UEFA qualifiers for the World Cup. We have the playoffs and we have Italy or Portugal trying to get their ticket to Qatar. So let's analyze all the games. We have Daniele Fisichella and Alvaro Romeo, and remember also that we want to know your opinion. So let me know what you think in the comment section and don't forget to press the like and subscribe. 3 spots left to go to the World Cup in the European zone, and we have 5 key games, and we have Alvaro, Dani. Hello, guys.
Ciao.
So let's start with the drama.
I'm a bit nervous.
Exactly. Let's start with the drama and the nervousness of Dani Fisichella, and we have Italy North Macedonia is our first game. It's gonna be in Palermo in the Renzo Barbera Stadium. Dani, I can understand how nervous you are and what a mess Italy is around. They looked virtually qualified, but they got a draw against Switzerland, missing a penalty, got a draw against Northern Ireland, and now we have a new list with Luis Felipe, with João Pedro, a little bit more of firepower to beat at least this North Macedonia. In your head, there is also a doubt about this game, or
no,
the effort is in Portugal's game?
Look, let's set the tone straight away in this video. I have zero doubt that Italy is going to qualify for the finals. Italy is far superior than North Macedonia. They do belong to different categories of national teams, without not taking anything away from North Macedonia. North Macedonia in Nations League Group C. Italy is in Nation Group League A, and they won it. So that's the gulf in class. Okay, we are in a bad situation, of course, because you only won 2 of the last 5, also at home, not very well. The problem, we didn't go to the World Cups directly because we drew against Bulgaria straight after winning the Euros, and a little bit of hangover. Was the first game as soon as the league restarted. Normally Italy has got that kind of slow starting qualification when they play in September. But before losing to Spain, Italy were unbeaten in 37 games. That's a world record. We have seen them playing very well. For example, in all the home games they played at the Euros, we see them putting teams away, not going just for the 1-0. They had an excellent Euro qualifying campaign and a good enough World Cup qualifiers campaign. If it was not for those 2 penalties missed by Jorginho, we will be telling a different stories. Now, where are the issues with Italy at the moment? Pretty much in every single position of the pitch, and that's why I am concerned. Donnarumma not having a super season at PSG, a little bit of hit and miss. Great saves, few mistakes. Is Paris the best place to develop as an international footballer? I'm not sure. Defense, Chiellini and Bonucci. Again, they've been injured recently. The fullbacks, we are without Spinazzola. Emerson Palmieri is going to play there, plays for Lyon. Di Lorenzo is injured, space for De Sciglio. Midfielders, Barella looks tired with Inter. We rely on the 2 international players that we have. Jorginho having a good season at Chelsea, Verratti having a good season at PSG, but again, cast a doubt on how much a player develops playing for PSG. And then we go up front. Yes, of course, we got the top scorer of Serie A, Immobile, with 21 goals, but Lazio doesn't play nowhere near the way Italy plays. Italy plays with a 4-3-3, possession-based, wants Immobile to come forward to the ball. Lazio likes to play balls over the top and make the most of Immobile space. And then the other 2, we are without Chiesa, obviously he's injured, and Insigne, again, not a great season so far. Berardi, though, is in form. He scored a weekend, 14 goals this season, 100 goals in Serie A. So it's pretty much the same formation that won the Euros, but maybe Mancini could draw for some players that were not there. Pellegrini, what a great goal he scored in the derby, the Capitale. So he might start Zaniolo, Tonali, maybe Zaccagni. You mentioned João Pedro. I'm not sure, to give the first cap to João Pedro. He used to play for Cagliari, good goal scorers in the province of Italy. I'm not sure if he's the man really to take us to the World Cup, but this Italy should have enough quality to beat comfortably Macedonia. By the way, first time the stadium is going to be full, 100%. in 2 years' time, since the pandemic, they play at Palermo, Renzo Barbera, La Favorita, always good atmosphere there. Italy to win 2-0. That's my bet. If we have to talk about betting, Italy to win 2-0 doesn't pay amazingly well, 183.
Alvaro, Danny is mentioning the difference of levels between this Macedonia and this Italy. We saw Macedonia in the Euros. They were disappointing. They didn't reach the level, but in the qualification was a long time ago. But they beat Germany away. That was a huge surprise. And then in the reverse fixture, Germany hammered them 4-0.
Yes, they did. North Macedonia, by the way, not Macedonia. No. Otherwise, the Greeks, they are going to get very, very angry. By the way, thank you, Danny, for recommending me some food from Palermo a couple of years ago.
Yes.
I still don't forgive you for the pane e milza thing that you recommended to me. That was terrible. Food in that city was brilliant. They are playing in Palermo, and I'm looking forward to this game a lot. I think that, especially looking forward to Italy-Portugal. I think that for me, this is one of the most interesting football games of the year, and hopefully it will happen. But first of all, they have to climb this little ladder of beating North Macedonia. I think that Italy, as Daniele well said, they are having their issues. I know that they will probably be a little bit nervous because, the fear of elimination can easily get your muscles rigid. But I honestly believe that at the same time, Italy has better players and that has to impose itself. I think that the midfield of Italy is really good. I really like Barella, Verratti, Jorginho. I think that those three should be playing together, right, Daniele?
Yeah, it should be starting. Yeah, unless Barella is out of form and then he goes with Pellegrini, but should be starting.
Yeah, but still, even Pellegrini, I think that, if Italy scores a goal, I think they got enough to keep the possession and, just to keep the ball and to make sure that North Macedonia doesn't stand a chance. Donnarumma's confidence is something that I could be a little bit scared about, but still, I think that Italy should be favorite here. It's very difficult to read the Italians, though, because they, for example, they won the Euro with, I wouldn't say with ease, but they were, for me, the best team altogether with Spain. But then, in the World Cup qualifying, they conceded only 2, but they scored only 13. And I think that they scored 13 alone in the Euro only in 6 or 7 games. So this Italy team has been a little bit of hit and miss, and it's difficult for me to read it, but I believe that they are going to win because North Macedonia is not a reliable team. Just a few numbers here. For example, in the Euros they scored only 2 goals. So when they play a high-profile game, they tend to crumble, obviously. Even though they beat Germany in March, that's true, last year, but then Germany beat them 4-0 in the reverse fixture. In the Euro, they had only 20 attempts to score, which is one of the lowest in the competition in Euro 2020 or Euro 2021. There are a few big players that are missing for various reasons, like, for example, Goran Pandev or Alioski, who has been injured the whole season for Leeds United. And yeah, they've got some competent players. Elmas, Bardi, Dimitrievski, they are all in the squad, but still, I don't see North Macedonia inflicting pain to Italy. So I'm going to go for the following. Look, I had a look to the win 2-0 to Italy. That's interesting. 175 is about right. Let's don't forget anyway that North Macedonia didn't score many goals, only 2 in the Euro, but then in the qualification for the World Cup, they scored 23. So they are a little bit unpredictable too, but I believe that Italy can keep a clean sheet here, 175. I like the Asian handicap minus 1.5 for Italy. I think that if Italy wins by 2 goals, which is absolutely, I would say that logical to me, you will be getting 178. And maybe this is too much because Italy are missing, for example, the firepower of Federico Chiesa, but Italy to score in both halves, that pays 1.90. So I like that one as well.
Italy, North Macedonia, the winner is going to play the winner of Portugal, Turkey. And here we have to see how Portugal reacts after that shocking defeat at home against Serbia, another team that also dropped points against Ireland, for instance. So despite the good roster, they dropped some points that they should have never dropped. And now they are facing Turkey, Alvaro, another team that they disappointed us clearly in the Euros. For a while they were able to challenge Netherlands, but they failed to qualify directly because, for instance, they were thrashed by Netherlands. So I'm also skeptical to see what is the real level in a high-profile game like this one.
I think that Turkey has big problems when they try to play the ball from the back. I still remember the opening game of Euro 2020, and Italy capitalize that shaky defense, those unconfident players, Demiral, Soyuncu, trying to play from the back and not being able to. I don't like the Turkish national side at the minute. I mean, the way they play and the way they perform and the way they compete as well, because I believe that when they concede the first goal, they tend to crumble as well. So, I'm not too sure about this Turkey. I've got many more certainties with Portugal. I wouldn't say that the game is as one-sided as it is between Italy and North Macedonia, but almost. I believe that, Turkey, when they play a high-profile game, they tend to crumble. They did against the Netherlands. They lost 6-1 after the Euro. Italy destroyed them in the Euro as well. So, when they play a team that is supposed to be better than them, well, that logic tends to impose itself. I know that Turkey has a new manager. They got Stefan Kuntz in there. He took the reins in September. And since then, they are unbeaten, but their opponents, they've been rather easy. Norway, Latvia, Gibraltar, as they say in England, Montenegro. I think that, Portugal are going to offer a different type of resistance. Turkey know how to score goals. They scored 27 goals in the group stage. Keep that in mind a little bit, because maybe you want to go for the goals market, both teams to score, for example. But when it comes to Portugal, not only they have won all their competitive games against Turkey in football history, but also Portugal, they've got the firepower that Turkey would wish they had. I mean, we're talking about Ronaldo, João Félix, Bernardo Silva, Diogo Jota, Andrés Silva, so many good players. And I know that a few are out, like for example, Renato Sanchez, Neves, a late absentee, Rubén Díaz, a very important defender, Semedo, not so important defender, but he can play for Fernando Santos. But still, I think that Portugal has a terrific team. Cristiano Ronaldo is normally performing for Portugal, even in the qualification for World Cup 2022, he scored 6 goals, which is quite all right. So I'm going to go for the following. Portugal to win for an ACCA is a very interesting thing, because that pays 140. And I am ready to go for all the range for Asian handicap minus 1.25 to minus 2.5. Because I believe that when Portugal scores 1 goal, they tend to go for the second and the third. So all that range, I love it. So Asian handicap minus 125 for Portugal pays 191. And an Asian handicap minus 2.5 for Portugal, which is more or less the range I'm talking about, that pays 386. I'm ready to go for any of that range, but minus 1.25, meaning, that if they win by 2 goals, basically you have it, with some nuances, that pays 191, and it's about right.
I think with Portugal, the issue is that sometimes they struggle to break down very organized defense, teams that sit deep a lot, like the game against Ireland. They only managed to draw against Serbia as well. They were hit on the counter, but Turkey is nothing like that. It's actually a team that is quite trying to go gung-ho, playing from the back, as Alvaro said, often making mistakes. So Soyuncu and Demiral, I think they're good defenders, but very prone to make mistakes, conceding a penalty, making a foul into the box, giving a stupid free kick. Turkey at the back, they are very young. They go Ayhan, who plays for Sassuolo, the right back, is a good player. They go Selik, who plays for Lille, another good player. But none of these having a great season, I would say. And when you look at the numbers, which Alvaro mentioned before, they tell you of a team that is quite unbalanced. So yes, they conceded 16 in the qualifiers. Between the teams that finished second, this is the worst tally. So no team has conceded more than Turkey between the second qualified, but also they scored 27 in the qualifiers. So that makes them the 6th best attack. So it's either high scoring game, or as Alvaro mentioned, they crumble. And at the end of the day, they are here only because they won that game in Latvia by the scruff of the neck, 2-1, with a goal in stoppage time from Burak Yilmaz. Had they not won that game, they were never going to finish second. Norway would have finished. And after the Euros, they only beat, as Alvaro mentioned, Gibraltar twice, Montenegro and Latvia. That's the only teams they beat after the Euros. And the Euros were disappointing. So I don't know. I mean, even if I look at Çalhanoğlu this season at Inter, very hit and miss, and I think he's the best player. Burak Yilmaz up top, not having a great season with Lille, score every now and then, but not quite the talisman. The thing is going to be, look, I think Portugal could shut them down easily, far easily, although I know they miss Rubén Díaz, but I think, yes, in terms of being more prepared for such a big game. I like the Portugal win. And in terms of finding a good odds on Oddspedia, Portugal clean sheet, 195.
Despite all the good players that Portugal have, they are also having a lot of problems. They had them in the Euros. Their role was not great. And as you mentioned, Danny, they were unable to beat Serbia. Actually, they lost. Also problems with Ireland. So let's hope they bounce back for the Portuguese people, of course, and perhaps all football fans can enjoy a Portugal-Italy the following week. And we have two more games. We have Sweden, Czech Republic, and here we have finally good odds, in this case for the home team, 2.21, especially, Danny, because I guess we can trust this Sweden. For many months. They were challenging Spain's first position in the group. At the end, they lost to Georgia. They lost also to Spain. So they finished second, but also in the Euros, they were a tough team. They have a good block, I guess, better than the Czechs, that they had a very poor qualifying.
They finished third, in fact. They finished behind Wales. They are there only because Wales won the Nations League group and they got, bounced back into the qualifier. Czech Republic, again, very hit and miss, I think. Not quite consistent, although it surprised many at the Euros. They only lost one of the last 6, Czech Republic. After the Euros, they kept 4 clean sheets. They got some issues in the scoring department, and is linked to the return of Patrick Schick. Patrick Schick is back from his injury. He hasn't played for over a month for Leverkusen. He scored 20 goals in 20 games so far this season, but then he had a bad injury. So now he's back with the national team. But this weekend he hasn't played. So I know the Czech people are all excited that Schick is back, but he hasn't played. So let's see what kind of form he is. They do rely a lot on the center forwards. Individually, Czech Republic players are having a good season. Now we're getting used to Czech teams doing well in Europe. This season is Slavia Praga. Last season was Sparta Prague. They are thereabout. They compete in Europe. And then, player like Antonin Baraka, Verona, great season, 10 goals so far. 𝐜𝐭𝐿, 19 years old. That's the great prospect of Czech football, playing more minutes for Sparta Prague this season. So we'll see him on the pitch. Kufal is injured, though. He might not be playing this one. Souček, always relying for West Ham, doing week in and week out. They might be tired, though, these players. They played a lot of games. When it comes to big games, when it comes to the crunch, Czech Republic are a bit difficult to read. I would not have imagined them to qualify, for example, for the groups, and they did. Then they beat Netherlands, but in the qualifiers, they lost 2-0 to Wales and to Belgium. I got some question marks over how good Czech Republic could be playing away from home, especially if Schick is not in top form. Check the lineups, by the way, to see if he actually makes the start, but he should make the start, because if they lose this one, well, there's no way back. Of course, Sweden is solid. Sweden is solid at home. I don't know. I think it might be a low-scoring game, this one. Hence, I'm gonna go for an under 0.75 goals in the first half, which plays well. 2.15. Let's explain it. If the first half ends 0-0, you win 2.15. If the first half ends 1-0 either way, you only lose your half a stake. You win half a stake. If you finish 1-0, finish 2-0, you lose your money.
Sweden very solid, as Danny is saying, especially at home. Alvaro, we know it pretty well because even Spain lost against Sweden playing away.
Yeah, Sweden is a great thermometer to measure your level, and I think that Spain had to face them a few times in the last 12 months, and they always found it very difficult. I think that, as I said before, they are capable of just pushing you to certain limits, and Spain always suffer against them because Spain is not the kind of team that scores easily. They've got possession, but sometimes the possession can get a little bit too slow, and with a rival like Sweden, they enjoy being in the 6-yard box and clear the ball all the time. So, Sweden conceded 3 goals in the qualification for Euro 2020, conceded 3, and they have conceded only 3 goals at home in the qualification for Euro 2020, and they conceded only 1 game, 1 goal at home for the qualification for World Cup 2022. Spain was the only team who was capable of scoring a goal in Sweden in the qualification for the World Cup. So this is the kind of thing we're talking about. And I totally agree with Daniele. I think that we have to go for the goal market, and we have to expect a very few goals. Sweden, they are good at home normally. In fact, this is a quick trivia. In Solna, anytime they play, normally they are winning. They have won their last 9 games in this city. But, just a few numbers, just to explain how good they are defensively. They conceded only 6 goals in qualifiers in 8 games. They won all their games at home. And Morata was the player that sent them to the playoffs, but we had to wait until late November to see that happen, because until then it looked like Sweden was capable of qualifying first and send Spain to the playoff. However, what happens to Sweden is that they suffer when they have to take the initiative, and I don't know whether they'll be willing to do that against the Czech Republic this time. They play at home, yes, but Sweden knows that what they do best is to stay strong at the back and then make sure that they capitalize a counter-attack or two. So, I want to see what their approach is, but when Sweden takes the initiative, they suffer. For example, they have to beat Georgia to top the group against Spain, and they lost to Georgia away 2-0. That was a little bit a summarize of what Sweden is about. When the other team attacks, they are comfortable. When they have to take the initiative, then they suffer. They've got good players. Elanga, for example, is getting his first cap this time. Kulusevski is having a really good season for Spurs. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is in the squad. In my opinion, he shouldn't be playing or starting, but anyway, who knows? Isak, he's not in a great form, but he's in the squad as well. Lindelof is a competent defender. So we know a few players from Sweden, and they are all pretty decent, and some of them, they are very good as well. When it comes to the Czech Republic, well, they beat Netherlands in the Euros, for example, so that tells you that they have this in them, but at the same time, they are not very good defensively. They only kept clean sheets in the qualification against Belarus and Estonia. And then if you check the numbers of Euro 2020, you will see that they were the 6th team in attempts and the 5th team in crosses attempted. So they are offensive. They don't know how to shut the door at the back. But at the same time, Sweden won't attack them much because I know how they are at home. So I'm going to go for under 2.5 goals. That pays 167. And I like this one a lot. 0-0 in the first half, that pays 262. If you want to lower down that a little bit, you can go for under 0.75 goals in the first half to minimize your losses a little bit. That pays 215.
Okay, so you expect a cagey one. In this game, the winner play Poland in the final, already there because Russia is being disqualified. And the last game and the most balanced one is Wales-Austria here. Wales to win 2.9, Austria to win 3.0. And I'm kind of surprised, Alvaro, because Austria was absolutely terrible in the qualification. They finished 4th behind Denmark, Scotland, and Israel. We know that Wales is not a superpower in football, but they are doing quite right their job recently, and we've seen them in big tournaments in the past years.
Yeah, Wales, well, we have to say that they haven't played the World Cup for many years, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that they hope they correct this time. They are not terrible at all, in my opinion. Wales is a decent side. They will have Gareth Bale very fresh because he wasn't even in the match day squad against Barcelona in El Clásico. But at the same time, he's fit. So Gareth Bale, I think that his last probably target, his ultimate target in his career is to play a World Cup with Wales. I think that this is it for Gareth Bale after a terrific career. They got, I think that at least a good player per line because they got Ben Davies in defense, who is playing for Spurs, starting for them. Aaron Ramsey in the weekend, he scored his first goal for Glasgow Rangers, ensure that he will take that confidence to the Wales national team. Gareth Bale up front, so you know what they are capable of. I think that they play decent football, and their improvement over the last decade is very remarkable. Then, when it comes to Austria, yes, they were terrible in the qualification. They had to qualify for this stage via the Nations League. They were clearly inferior to Denmark and Scotland in the group stage, and they got a few players out. I mean, for example, in the last few days, we learned that Grealish, Trimmel, Lienhart, Ljubicic were going to be out. So the manager, in this case, Franco what is
Foda.
Yeah, Franco Foda. Yeah, he had to. He looks like an actor from Rex, by the way, the series with the dog. He had to Franco Foda. He had to call Andy Weimann. Do you remember this guy? He played for Aston Villa with Benteke and Gavi Afonlaor up front. It was 7 years that the manager didn't call Andy Weimann. So Austria is in need of the strikers for this game. What I like about Austria is that they are very vertical. For example, in the Euros, they had over a 50% possession of the ball, which is good enough for a team that we don't deem as one of the strong ones or one of the teams that take the initiative. They were the 8th in attempts in the World Cup qualification, which is really good because in Europe there are about 55 sides. But at the same time, they conceded 17 goals. So it's a team that lets you attack them, but at the same time, they try to hurt you a lot. They are probably the opposite of what Sweden are. And a few players, like for example, Alaba or Savitzer, they tend to send very long diagonal balls to the second post. I saw that in the Euro a lot, and it worked very well for Austria. So yeah, I think that this game can be entertaining, but I'm gonna stay with Wales because I think that they were much better than Austria in the World Cup qualification group. So Wales to qualify, that pays 1.9. They are playing at home, let's don't forget, and I think that this is important in these kind of cases. Or for example, an Asian handicap of 0 for Wales, 189. It's a bit more conservative, but why not? At the end of the day, Wales are unbeaten in their last 16 home games, and their last defeat at home came against Denmark, and that was 4 years ago already.
And in those 60 home games, 8 clean sheets for Wales when they play at home. So, you know, it is usually reliable. But Austria, I do like, especially the midfield. I think they're very physical. They run a lot. Leiner and Schlager. They gave Italy a quite hard time in that round, you know, in the knockout in the Euros. If it wasn't for the VAR, Arnautovic goal would have stood, and you know, bye-bye. But you know, it has the tough team. But in the disappointment in the qualifiers, I thought Foda was more concerned and more let's say putting more effort into the defensive phase. They let a lot of goal in, very unbalanced in the Austria side. Big star is Arnautovic in Italy. He's having an okay season. He hasn't quite reached double figure, plays for a very defensive team that is Bologna. Now with Wales, the problem is that you know that when Bale and Ramsey, they put the Wales shirt, you know they're going to become different players. There's nothing to do with the form, with the club. You know, Bale has only played 2 games for Real Madrid since November. Ramsey,
only 77 minutes since August for Real Madrid.
So, I mean,
I saw the stat yesterday. It's ridiculous, but we know that it can be dangerous.
I know. That tells you a lot.
Sorry to interrupt.
That tells you a lot. I mean, then also we could discuss why they don't play him a little bit more. Why they didn't play me yesterday in the Classico. But anyway, we leave it for another time. But you know, also with Ramsey as well. You know, when they're gonna play for Wales, they're gonna transform themselves. You know, Ramsey is a player that barely played in 2 years in Italy. Now, because they got a very strong team spirit, this is a team that when they get together, they do the best. Although the overall quality of the Wales team, you would probably put it in the higher Championship, lower Premier League. That's where most of the players do play, apart with some exceptions. But the team spirit and the organization make the most of it. You know, a few concerns though for Page, because they will be without the keeper Danny Ward. He's got a knee injury, plays for Leicester, so it's gonna be Hennessy in goal. Now, Hennessy, only 9 Premier League games in the last 3 years between Palace and Burnley. But again, we saw them time and time again. Wales player, when they play with the national team, they give their best. Tyler Roberts, James Lawrence, who played for Sampoli, also missing. And now there is a recall for Rabbi Matondo. Well, a circle bruise, 9 goals in 24 games, but I would not imagine him to start up front. And now if you look at the individuals, Dan James, for example, good season, bad season for Leeds, but he's having a good season. I think the move from Manchester United to Leeds helped him. Ethan Hampadu, good season at Venezia on an individual level, terrible season for the club. And then you go Harry Wilson, who plays for Fulham, on loan from Liverpool, having a great season in the Championship, bossing the Championship. We'll see him play in the Premier League next year. So yeah, there is quite a lot of players that, having good individual season in this Wales team. But again, the home factor and the group spirit factor could be decisive. The winner of this, let's not forget, plays in the final against Scotland and Ukraine, which have been postponed because of the war. I can see Wales favorites in this one, but again, I'm going to be a little bit conservative. So I'm going to go for an Asian handicap 0 in the first half, in this case for Wales, just because I found better odds, or it could have gone for a double chance 1x, but in this case is 193. If Wales doesn't lose the first half, you have a chance to win 193. If they draw, you get your money back.
I wouldn't rule out a surprise here, or maybe even going into the extra time. We saw Austria put in Italy to extra time, for instance, in the Euros. So I guess you both think it's going to be Italy, Portugal, Sweden, and Wales in the final.
I think so. I mean, Italy, Portugal, Sweden. I'm not so sure it's going to be Sweden. I mean, I think that's the most difficult to predict is Wales, Austria, probably.
Me too. I wouldn't discard a surprise here. Then let's go with your ACCA, Dani.
Okay, Italy to win the first half against North Macedonia. Portugal and Turkey under 3.5 goals. Sweden to qualify. And Wales, Austria, both teams to score. Total odds, 7.45.
Alvaro?
You beat me, Dani. You beat me this time.
Oh, wow.
I'm going for an Asian handicap 0 for Wales. Under 2.5 goals in the game of Sweden against the Czech Republic. A clean sheet for Italy, taking some risk here, but I believe that this can happen. And Portugal to win, that pays 7.11.
I had to Google Franco Foda and see his picture as well.
He looks like a textbook Austrian actor.
We
are going down the stereotype. We're going down the stereotype. But by the way, we have to say one thing, because you put an Asian handicap 0 in your ACCA. If it doesn't happen, I think the ACCA is still valid. If they draw, they just take the odds out, so you're gonna be less, so you got more chances to win.
That's correct. That's completely correct. Then good luck, Dani. And let's see.
Hopefully we'll see you in the next video, because if Italy doesn't make it, I'm not gonna do the next video.
Has to happen. We need the Portugal-Italy.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Thank you. Take care.
I hope you enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments who do you think are gonna qualify for the World Cup. And don't forget to press the like and subscribe. And also remember that we have a podcast for you. Thanks for watching.